Page 14 continued. He sighed in vain for sleep to come to him. Then he struggled to keep his eyes closed, as he felt strange in his new surroundings. He could hear Babu snoring away in the another room. He did not know which room, because when he had come back with the vegetables from the market, BBG had called him straight into the kitchen and given him a loaf of stale pancake, after which she had asked him to peel the potatoes and help her to cook. The meal was prepared, but who ate it and where it was eaten, Munnu did not know, as being fatigued, he had succumbed to sleep in the corner where he lay. The only thing he remembered was the shrill voice of his mistress, which had reached his ears when he had been sufficiently aroused by a few digs in the ribs. "You eater of your masters, strange servant that you are, that you fall asleep before the sun sets. What is the use of a boy like you in the house if you are going to do that every day? Wake up, you brute, wake up and serve the Babuji his dinner. Or at least eat your food before you sleep. If sleep is to death, you must." End of page 14, beginning of page 15. He looked around and scanned the various things that lay in utter confusion about him. There were plates of burnished brass with black-bottomed bronze saucepans and tumblers of aluminium mixed with children's toys and glass bottles, big and small, bottles of medicine like the labelled bottles which Munnu had seen in the shop of the doctor of his village. Only these were dusty, while in the doctor's shop everything was kept clean by the compounder. There were sacks of flour and lentils and huge wooden boxes and tins containing Munnu knew not what. There were 2 dirty shirts and an alpaca jacket hanging from pegs in the walls, 2 enormous coloured pictures, the figures in which were hidden by the faded garlands of flowers that hung about them, and a large broken mirror covered with soot. Wood fuel lay heaped in one corner, and on a line suspended from the middle of the 2 walls lengthwise were heaps of old and new clothes, while several bundles of quilts and blankets hung from the ceiling. On a separate shelf a little further up, precariously balanced on an iron tray, lay utensils of polished white chalk, little round cups with handles, a big pot with a beak like a pig's nose, and a jug. Munnu did not know what these white chalk utensils were used for, but something in their glossy surface fascinated him. Something about them vaguely promised him a surprise more significant than the open message reflected by the burning sheen of the brass and bronze utensils, which challenged him with an injunction: "You will have to polish us soon." The rest of the junk, in spite of the clamour of the pictures and gaudy mirrors, confused him. For a moment he drew back into himself, into a sort of emptiness, only slightly disturbed by the waves of light that pervaded the room. Then he wanted to get up and see what was in the other parts of the house. His eyes lit with an impish curiosity which had always made him go about hunting for birds' eggs in the trees, the bushes and the rocks. His heart fluttered with light, easy throb with which it had beaten when he had gone stealing fruit from the gardens. He felt the lure of adventure in his bones. With a sudden movement of his limbs, he sprang to his feet and tiptoed to the door facing him. He applied an eye to the chink and saw a tiny room congested with 2 huge beds, several trunks, and a little child's vehicle. The Babu lay on a bed with his face sunk. End of page number 15. Now page number 16. Sideways into a pillow. The angular heap which curled up under a sheet of another bed was Munnu guessed BBG. Lest the mere act of looking on his part should arouse his master and mistress, he withdrew his gaze to peer through a half-open doorway on his right. On a clean white bed in the middle of the room lay a man almost as white-faced as the sahib in the basket hat whom his uncle had saluted yesterday. There was a more interesting medley of objects in this room, all neatly arranged. A vast table in one corner, majestic chairs like thrones on which Munnu had seen pictures in his history books, photographs large and small, and calendars with dates written in black for ordinary days and red for the holidays. Toys of colored clay, among which the effigy of Ganesha, the elephant-headed god of sagacity, worldliness and wealth, ruled supreme. Munnu's eyes roved around and explored the potencies of civilization. He would have lingered to gaze endlessly, but he saw the man, the Babuji's younger brother, he guessed, for he had heard BBG talk of Prem, the Chota Babu, turned on his side and muttered in his sleep, "Ve Mundu, are you awake?" Munnu's heart beat fast. He was breathless for a moment. He wondered whether it was the thumping of his feet as he ran which had awakened BBG. "Yes, BBG, I am awake," he said, adapting his hill accent to the diction of the lowlands. "Well then, get to work." The voice came lazily, monosyllabic. "Rake out the ashes in the fireplace and scrub last night's soiled utensils. You went to sleep, you dead one, so early last night that you didn't even do that. And light the fire. Then put the water on the boil in the saucepan for tea for Babuji. I will get up in a little while." Presently there was a sob. The little child Leela had presumably been awakened, but she was lulled to sleep again. Munnu wondered whether the elder girl, Sheila, was. She was supposed to have gone to a fair with her uncle yesterday, and he had not seen her yet. As he went kitchenwards, Munnu felt uneasy. He did not know where to begin and how to set about doing things in this house. Besides, the first things he had always done when he got up every end of page 16, beginning of page 17, morning in his village home was to run into the fields and relieve himself, then bathe at the well. He would run out into the fields and relieve himself, then bathe at the well, come back and eat his food before going to school or taking his flock to graze at the river side. Now he did not know where he should go to relieve himself. There were houses all about, and there were forbidding bungalows cresting the hill, and he could hear people walking on the road. He did not know where the people in the town went. He hastened to the door leading out of the kitchen. He could not see any latrine attached to the house. By this time he was in panic. He felt he could not control himself any longer. He felt he was going to spoil his loin cloth. He ran to the wall outside the house and sat down there. "Where are you? Where have you died? Ve Mundu," came the voice of the mistress as he had hardly sat down. A sudden fear seized him, and that she should come and see him, but he could not check himself and get up. "Ve, you eater of your masters! Ve, you shameless brute! You pig! You dog!" The storm burst on his head as, hearing no response to her call, she appeared at the door, saw him, and unable to bear the sight, withdrew. "Ve, you shameless, vulgar, stupid hillboy! May the vessel of your life never float in the sea of existence. May you die. What have you done? Why didn't you ask me where to go? May you fade away. May you burn. We didn't know we were going and taking on an animal in our employ, an utter brute, a savage. What will the sahibs think who pass by our doors every morning and afternoon? The Babuji has his prestige to keep up with the sahibs. What a horrible mess he has made outside my door. Her voice rose from the first shock of unpleasantness through the faint hiss of anger to the mechanical volubility of her curses and mounted to a last note of real despair. Munnu felt the blood rushing to his face. His brain seemed to be submerged in darkness. He wished he could disappear from the world somehow. For the first time in his life, he felt ashamed to be seen relieving himself in the open. Of course, now the whole house was awake. At first, Babu Nathuram came, square-shouldered and bandy-legged, thinking with his exaggerated sense of property that a thief had attacked his house. End of page 17.
Page 18.
Now, then emerged the Chota Babu, a handsome, well-built young man, easy-gaited and loose-mannered, saying, "What is the matter? What is all this row about?" Last of all, the Babu's elder daughter, Sheila, walked up, a slim child of 10, with golden hair and ivory complexion and light brown eyes, which seemed to laugh as they wrinkled with mischievous gaiety at this ridiculous insult. "Yes, this shameless rustic," began BBG again, with all her vociferating intensity of which she was capable. Vociferating. vociferating. Vociferating intensity of which she was capable. He has gone and relieved himself at the doorstep of my kitchen. Heavens, just imagine, eater of his masters, may he die. Hi. Why, oi, you son of a bitch, squeaked Babu Nathuram, lifting his thin, bony hand both to quieten his arms. Why did you do that? Then contorting his face so that his forehead was knotted into a curious twist and dilating his lips to reveal the red gums over his badly spaced teeth, he stupidly reiterated, "Why did you do that?" "Because he didn't want to do it in his loincloth," said the Chota Babu, laughing and teasing. "Then BBG would have had to wash those for him. As it is, the sweeper will be here soon." Sheila giggled and clung to her uncle's legs. "Go away, Sheila. You shouldn't be here," said Nathuram, swallowing his anger. "Couldn't he have gone to the lavatory? Why didn't you tell him where it was?" he asked, turning to his wife. Do you think I should let him use our lavatory?" BBG replied. "Let this rustic use our lavatory? You spoil him. He will be another nuisance for me to look after. Someone had better go and call the sweeper to come and clean the mess he has made." All right, said Chota Babu casually. "Don't let us frighten him or he'll make some more of a mess. Now what about tea?" "What about tea then, Sheila? Is your mother too angry to give us tea?" "Can't you wait, Prem?" Babuji explained. Let me see to this stupid boy first." "Ah," she cried in disgust at the thought of the sight, and without feeling the least like vomiting, I am sick, I am fainting." A rustling behind her, and she saw Munnu standing in the kitchen. She turned to him, shouting at the top of her voice, "You eater of your masters, where did you go?" End of page number 18. Now page number 19. "I went to wash my buttocks at the pump," Munnu replied with a complete lack of self-consciousness. "Go and have a bath before you come anywhere near my kitchen," she said, pushing him away with both her arms. "Be gone, out of my sight." He heard her shout after him, "You uncivilized brute." As she continued grumbling when she had passed out of hearing distance. I thought there was going to be some rest for me when this servant came. Instead, I have to slave exactly as in the past. What is the use of an ignorant boy like this in the house? He is more of a trouble than a help, and such a stupid fool too, and dirty. Or are these village folk? Don't you say anything against the village folk, mocked her brother-in-law. You yourself come from a village. Oh, please don't tease, said BBG. We must keep our prestige. We must keep up our appearances, at least before a stranger in the house. Sheila, said Premchand loudly, so that his sister-in-law should hear. Do you remember that poem about tea which you read on the posters of the Imperial Tea Company at the railway station? Hot tea cools your heart in the heat of summers, said Man. You mean uncle, said Sheila. Yes, go and say that loudly to Bibi Uttam Kaur, he said, smiling mischievously as he rolled about on his bed. Hot tea cools. Sheila was beginning to sing. All right, shouted Bibiji desperately. Don't eat my head, and don't mention my name in vain. The Jim and Bhool. And you little wretch, your uncle may have become a sahib by going to learn medicine at college. Where have you learned to pose as a mem sahib? Munnu was scrubbing the utensils with ashes as he sat by the slab which served both as sink and bathroom, and being connected with the drain through a slimy hole in the wall where the insects buzzed and the worms crawled. The boy felt the cool odorous draught come in from the drain and dry the sweat on his face. He shifted from where he sat on his heels and turned to his back to the hole. But now he faced a side door from which the smell of dung was assailed in his nostrils. This must be the lavatory, he thought. Strange. May I help him scrub the utensils? Mother asked Sheila as she stood fidgeting in the kitchen. End of page number 19, beginning of page number 20. Get out of the way, screamed her mother, and let that good-for-nothing pig do some work for a change.